The dim light of the flickering lamp, the cold air enveloping everything, and strange sounds echoing in the darkness. Have you ever wondered if there are places in this world that carry a history full of mysteries and spirits unable to find peace? Welcome to today's video, where we will explore haunted locations. Places not only famous for their beauty or historical value, but also for their eerie stories and spine-chilling supernatural phenomena. From ancient castles and legendary hotels to homes built on foundations of tragedy, each location carries an untold story, an unsolved mystery. Join me as we step into the mysterious world of haunted places, where the past never truly fades away, and spirits linger in the dark corners of old walls. Hauska Castle, the mystery of the gateway to hell and the lost souls hidden within the dense forests of the Czech Republic. Hauska Castle is not a strategically significant structure like other castles built for defending borders or fortresses. Unlike famous castles, Hauska has no fortifications or surrounding moats. Yet, it is one of the most well-known locations for its mysterious tales of supernatural forces, a gateway to hell, and souls that cannot rest in peace. Hauska Castle was constructed in the late 13th century under the reign of Prince Ottokar II. However, instead of serving a military purpose like other castles, Hauska had a completely different and puzzling purpose. According to historical records, the castle was built over a strange deep pit, which legend says is a gateway straight to hell. The legend tells that the castle was constructed to enclose and protect the world from monstrous creatures and sinful souls trapped within that pit. While there is no concrete historical evidence to confirm whether the castle was indeed built to seal a gateway to hell, this story has been passed down for centuries and forms the foundation of Hauska Castle's legend. Strangely, throughout its history, the castle was never used as a military stronghold. Instead, it is believed to have been built to shield and contain the malevolent forces in the pit. Visitors to Hauska Castle have reported feeling an eerie weight in the air, as if the place harbors a deep secret inaccessible to humans. While no one has been able to provide a clear explanation for the castle's purpose, its peculiar atmosphere undeniably makes it one of the most mysterious and frightening locations in the world. The Lost Soldier, screams and horror. Perhaps no story is as strange and haunting as that of the soldier who mysteriously disappeared within Hauska Castle. One day in the late 14th century, when the castle was still in use, a young soldier was assigned to guard it. Recently, strange sounds, including screams and footsteps, had been reported coming from the pit within the castle. That night, during a violent storm, the soldier decided to explore the gateway leading into the pit that locals believed to be the gateway to hell. He ventured into the darkness alone, unaware that what awaited him was far from an ordinary discovery. According to some accounts, as soon as he entered, terrifying screams erupted, shocking the other soldiers at the castle. When they arrived, all they found was a small bloodstain on the floor, and the soldier had vanished. The pit was explored, but there was no trace of him. When the soldier was found later, he was completely changed. He could not remember anything about himself, why he was at the castle, or even his own name. He spent the rest of his life in delirium, frequently muttering incoherent sentences, as if trying to describe something he could not put into words. Witnesses reported that his eyes were filled with fear, as if he had seen a world no ordinary person could comprehend. This story grew more eerie and terrifying as rumors spread that the soldier had encountered creatures or tormented souls within the pit. Perhaps he had entered another realm, where beings and spirits could not escape the gateway. The Haunted Bride, a ghostly connection. The story of a haunted bride in an old English castle bears a strange resemblance to the tales of Hauska Castle. Although it occurred elsewhere, the supernatural elements and the spirit's inability to find peace share commonalities between the two stories. The bride, known as the Haunted Bride, was a young, beautiful woman preparing to marry in an old English castle during the 18th century. However, her joy lasted only one night. After her wedding night, the bride vanished without a trace. No one knew where she had gone or what had happened to her. Soon after, spirits in the castle began to appear. People reported seeing the ghostly figure of the bride in her white wedding dress gliding through the empty halls. Her eyes filled with fear and her voice whispering someone's name. Some believe the bride was murdered on her wedding night, and her spirit could not rest until her death was avenged. The haunted bride, with her sorrowful expression and anxious gaze, has become a chilling presence for those visiting the castle. While this story occurred in a different castle, its clear similarities to the trapped spirits of Hauska Castle cannot be overlooked. Both stories involve spirits unable to move on, victims of mysterious deaths, and unexplained events that defy rational explanation. With all these mysterious stories and connections between supernatural events, Hauska Castle remains a fascinating destination for those who love eerie tales, legendary myths, and unsolved mysteries. This place is not just an ancient castle, but a gateway into the world of dark spirits, strange creatures, and unexplainable secrets. Visitors to the castle have recounted feeling an uncanny presence, as if an invisible force surrounds the place. Strange sounds, chills, and the feeling of being watched have sent shivers down the spines of many who have stepped inside. Hauska Castle is not only a historical site, but also an indispensable part of the Czech Republic's mystical legends. With stories of the lost soldier, the haunted bride, and trapped spirits, the castle continues to attract those seeking the paranormal and the unknown. While the truth about what has happened at Hauska Castle may never be fully uncovered, one thing is certain: it remains one of the most mysterious places in the world. The Island of Dolls, Mexico, where the spirits of dolls still haunt, located about 28 kilometers south of Mexico City. The Island of Dolls, La Isla de las Muñecas, is one of the most mysterious and terrifying places in the world. Known for chilling stories about haunted dolls, this island attracts visitors not only with its natural beauty, but also with its eerie mysteries that send shivers down the spines of those who dare to visit. Although not an official tourist destination, the Island of Dolls is famous and leaves a haunting impression on those who have been there, even becoming the inspiration for horror films and books. The Island of Dolls is situated on the Xochimilco Canal in the outskirts of Mexico City and has become one of the most bizarre yet captivating tourist attractions. The story of this island began in the 1950s, when a man named Julian Santana Barrera decided to live in isolation on the island after being entrusted with its care. Julian, a local resident, chose to live there to escape society and seek peace. However, a tragic event made him unable to leave the island, and his life gradually turned into a series of haunting days. One day, as Julian was walking along the canal's edge, he discovered the body of a young girl who had drowned in the water. In his grief and panic, Julian decided to save the girl's soul by hanging dolls on the trees, hoping that these spirits would no longer disturb the island. It might seem like a bizarre decision, but Julian believed this was the only way to maintain his peace. Since then, dolls have been hung all over the island's trees. Each doll has a peculiar appearance. Most are broken, with missing limbs or cracked faces, yet they remain there as if waiting for something. The dolls are believed to possess souls, according to many locals and visitors who have been to the Island of Dolls. The site is not just a display of discarded dolls, but also a place filled with spirits that cannot find peace. Some visitors have shared that they felt an otherworldly presence in the air, with dolls seemingly moving or changing positions without human intervention. Stories of dolls turning their heads, blinking, or making strange noises have sparked suspicions that these dolls truly harbor souls. One visitor recounted an experience where she felt an unusual chill near a group of dolls. As she turned away, one of the dolls she had just passed suddenly turned its head toward her. This frightened her so much that she didn't dare look back and quickly left the island. Feeling as though she was being watched, another story involved a group of friends visiting the island one evening. While taking photos with some dolls, they felt a sudden strong gust of wind and heard faint laughter coming from somewhere in the darkness. Although they dismissed it as just the wind, the fear lingered as they left the island. One of them insisted he saw a doll with an unsettling gaze. as if it could see them. Julian Santana Barrera and the spirit of the girl. The story of Julian Santana Barrera, the man who began hanging dolls on the island, goes beyond mere isolation. As Julian became more attached to the island, he started experiencing strange phenomena. According to local accounts, Julian encountered inexplicable occurrences. He often heard whispers in the wind, the laughter of a child emanating from the forest of dolls, and at times felt an invisible force pulling him toward the lake where the girl had drowned one night. After many years on the island, Julian suffered a breakdown. He began to believe that the girl's spirit had inhabited one of the dolls and was haunting him. The dolls, which he had once hung as a form of memorial and supplication, now seemed to have become sentient beings, controlling everything around them. It's said that in his final days, Julian decided never to leave the island. When friends visited him, they found him in a peculiar state, uttering incoherent sentences and avoiding the dolls he once hung. Before his death in 2001, Julian reportedly claimed that the girl's ghost had tormented him and compelled him to hang hundreds of dolls across the island after Julian's death. The Island of Dolls became an eerie destination, not only because of the bizarre stories, but also due to the lingering spirits he left behind. Many believe that Julian's spirit still roams the island, along with the souls he attracted through the hanging of these peculiar dolls. The Island of Dolls, dolls never forgotten. Today, the Island of Dolls is one of the world's strangest tourist attractions, drawing fans of the supernatural and mysterious phenomena. Visitors come not only to see the eerie dolls, but also to challenge themselves with the ghost stories they've heard about the island, while the Island of Dolls is now a famous tourist site. Tales of restless spirits, haunted dolls, and Julian's presence continue to spread among urban legend enthusiasts. The dolls, once part of a bizarre ritual, have now become living witnesses to a mysterious and frightening story that no one can fully explain. The Island of Dolls, with its haunted dolls and restless spirits, is a place that makes anyone brave enough to set foot there shudder. The story of Julian Santana Barrera, the strange dolls, and the girl's spirit has turned the island into a symbol of haunting and mystery. Whether or not you believe in the existence of spirits, there's no denying that the Island of Dolls is one of the most eerie and peculiar places, where secrets await those daring enough to explore. The Stanley Hotel, mystery and spirits of the past nestled among the majestic hills of the Rocky Mountains in Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel is renowned not only for its magnificent early 20th century architecture, but also as one of the most mysterious destinations in America. Every year, thousands of visitors from around the world come not only to admire the beauty of this resort, but also to experience the strange phenomena and chilling stories that have persisted since the hotel's construction. The hotel is famous not only as a historical landmark, but also for its inexplicable mysteries involving wandering spirits and eerie supernatural occurrences. The Stanley Hotel was built in 1909 by F.O. Stanley, the founder of the Stanley Motor Carriage Company and one of the pioneers in developing internal combustion engine automobiles. With his wealth and influence, Stanley decided to construct a luxurious retreat for the affluent and elite on the slopes of Estes Park, a place with picturesque scenery and fresh, crisp air. However, despite its glamorous exterior and rich history, the hotel harbors strange and unexplainable tales. The mysterious events began when F.O. Stanley and his wife, Flora, moved into the hotel in 1911. They were among the first to encounter supernatural phenomena, and it seems that spirits began appearing on the hotel grounds early on. Hotel staff frequently reported hearing strange noises at night, ghostly figures gliding through empty hallways, and objects moving on their own without anyone touching them. One of the most notable stories associated with the hotel is that both guests and staff have consistently experienced bizarre events, with many believing the hotel might be haunted. These stories have inspired numerous books and films, most notably Stephen King's famous novel The Shining, one of the most iconic works about haunting and restless spirits. The grinning man, a strange smiling man, One of the bizarre accounts involves the story of the grinning man, a ghost with a perpetually eerie smile, whose origins remain unknown but whose presence has been witnessed at the hotel. Night shift staff at the hotel have recounted hearing footsteps echoing through the empty hallways on dark nights. When they stopped to look around, they would see a faint figure walking down the hall, bearing a wide, haunting grin. This story has become a local legend and has drawn the attention of paranormal researchers. There is a story of a young housekeeping staff member who encountered this ghost. One particular night, while she was cleaning a room on the 3rd floor, a man wearing a dark coat entered. When she asked if she could assist him, the man only gave her an odd smile before silently entering the room. When she went to inform the front desk, the room was found to be completely empty. It was the first and only time she ever saw the apparition. Although she shared her story with colleagues, no one dared to clean the 3rd floor rooms at night afterward. The grinning man has become a frightening symbol of the Stanley Hotel, with numerous guests later reporting that they, too, felt the presence of a strange man with a terrifying smile gliding through the hallways during nighttime tours. Paranormal researchers believe he might be the spirit of a former guest who never found peace. The spirit of room 217. The Stanley Hotel is well known for its haunted rooms, with room 217 being the most infamous. The story dates back to 1911 when a maid named Elizabeth Wilson, who was in charge of housekeeping, was injured during a gas lamp explosion in the room during a stormy day. Although she survived, the incident is believed to have trapped her spirit in the hotel, and she is thought to be responsible for the strange occurrences in this room. Since then, room 217 has become one of the hotel's most haunted spots. Many guests have reported sensing the presence of a woman in the room, even though no one else is visible, or witnessing objects moving on their own without explanation. Some have claimed to hear soft footsteps or feel as though someone is sitting on the bed while they sleep. One guest recounted waking up in room 217 to feel someone gently tapping his shoulder. When he turned around, he saw a faint apparition of a woman smiling kindly but with an eerie quality. As he stood and ran from the room, he heard soft laughter behind him but dared not look back. The spirit of Elizabeth Wilson continues to appear in room 217, not only adding to the hotel's fame, but also creating an unsettling atmosphere for those who dare to enter. The Stanley Hotel, a gateway to the beyond. The Stanley Hotel is not just a historical landmark, but also a gateway to another world, a place where restless spirits linger. Whether it's the grinning man or Elizabeth Wilson, they have left their mark here, making the Stanley Hotel one of the most famously haunted locations in America. Visitors to the Stanley Hotel come not just to enjoy the beauty of Estes Park, but to embark on a strange journey into the supernatural. Whether they come to explore the history or simply for a casual tour, anyone who steps through the hotel's doors can feel the presence of something unseen but deeply haunting. This hotel is not only a repository of past memories, but also a place where spirits never leave, hovering in the air and waiting for those brave enough to confront its mysteries. Stories about the grinning man and Elizabeth Wilson are just two of the many secrets the Stanley Hotel still holds. Who knows? Perhaps one day, you might be the next person to uncover the hidden mysteries within this hotel. Pripyat, Ukraine, the forgotten city and wandering souls. Known as one of the most terrifying and mysterious cities in the world, Pripyat, Ukraine, is a vivid testament to the devastation of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Located just a few kilometers from the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, Pripyat was once a vibrant city bustling with nearly 50,000 residents. However, after the catastrophic accident in 1986, it became a ghost town, abandoned and radioactive. No one dared to return. Strange tales, supernatural phenomena, and restless souls have made Pripyat a mysterious, chilling, and frightening place. Pripyat was established in 1970 as an industrial city serving the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which provided energy for much of the surrounding region. It was a modern city with amenities for its residents, including schools, hospitals, parks, and swimming pools. With a forward-looking vision, Pripyat was an ideal city for nuclear workers and their families. However, everything changed abruptly on April 26, 1986, when an explosion at Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl plant caused an unprecedented nuclear disaster. When the explosion occurred, the Soviet authorities immediately ordered the evacuation of all residents of Pripyat and the surrounding areas. But it was already too late. The radiation had spread through the air, making the city uninhabitable. Within hours, Pripyat became a dead city, with empty buildings, buses parked along the streets, and silent homes. After the incident, Pripyat was abandoned and isolated from the outside world. It became a symbol of destruction and sorrow, and stories of restless souls, ghosts wandering the abandoned buildings, began to emerge. The Souls of Pripyat residents, one of the most prominent and frequently told stories by those who have visited Pripyat, is about the wandering souls of former residents. Though the city has been abandoned, many have reported sensing the presence of ghosts and restless spirits. One of the first groups to visit Pripyat after the disaster was a team of journalists and paranormal researchers. When they entered one of the old apartment complexes, they heard strange noises from within the empty units, as if someone was walking or talking. Although no one could be seen, the feeling of being watched was undeniable. Recording devices also captured eerie sounds, such as dry noises and indistinct whispers. A well-known story involves a group of tourists in 2011 who decided to explore Pripyat. As they passed an old apartment complex, one member felt an invisible hand touch their shoulder. But when they turned around, no one was there. A chilling and oppressive atmosphere surrounded them, forcing them to leave the area quickly. This experience convinced them that the souls of residents who perished in the nuclear disaster might still linger in the empty buildings. Some visitors have even witnessed ghostly figures appearing in areas like schools, hospitals, and particularly in the apartments. These apparitions seem shapeless, appearing as strange patches of light that sometimes drift past windows or down hallways. Many have described feeling a palpable tension in the air, as though someone was watching them from the shadows. Schools and the spirits of children. One of the most haunted locations in Pripyat is the school. This was where children once studied, played, and lived ordinary lives before the disaster struck. Numerous accounts of the presence of children's spirits in the classrooms have been told over the years. During a visit in the fall of 2006, a group of tourists walked through one of Pripyat's old schools. Upon entering a classroom, one person felt an unusual coldness. Suddenly, a desk in the classroom moved slightly, even though no one had touched it. Strangely, after the desk moved, they heard the sound of children laughing in the air. But when they turned around, no one was there. A group member attempted to record the sounds, and upon playback, they confirmed hearing noises resembling children at play. Paranormal researchers suggest that the spirits of the children, who had to leave their lives and families behind during the disaster, still linger within the school grounds. Unable to move on, these small ghostly figures, though invisible, are often felt by those who visit places like classrooms, playgrounds, and old lecture halls. The spirit of the electrician, another story often recounted by tourists and paranormal researchers, involves the spirit of an electrician. Before the Chernobyl disaster, an electrician working at the power plant lived in Pripyat. Following the disaster, this electrician was said to have died while attempting to repair the electrical system at the plant under extremely hazardous conditions. One tourist reported that while exploring an area near the plant, they felt an unusual presence. Suddenly, they heard the sound of electrical wires crackling, and when they turned around, a faint silhouette of a man stood silently watching them. No one in the group could explain this phenomenon, but all felt the undeniable presence of the electrician's restless soul. A forever forgotten city. Today, Pripyat remains an abandoned city, a ghost town in the middle of a desolate area where no living souls reside. Yet, strange tales of restless spirits continue to spread. The city holds not only memories of the nuclear disaster, but also the lingering spirits of those who had to leave their families and lives behind in an unforeseen tragedy. Pripyat, with its derelict buildings, silent streets, and haunting atmosphere, remains a place filled with unexplained mysteries. While the ghosts of former residents may no longer be clearly visible, their presence can still be felt by those who dare to visit. These phantoms, though no longer tangible, still linger in the air, within the homes, classrooms, and shadowy corners of this forgotten city. Monte Cristo Homestead, Australia, a place of mystery and wandering spirits, nestled in the tranquil countryside of New South Wales. Monte Cristo Homestead stands out not only for its ancient beauty, but also for the haunting and chilling stories that make it one of the most haunted places in Australia. Built in 1885, Monte Cristo Homestead became home to the Crawley family and witnessed countless tragic events. Tales of deaths, restless spirits, and strange phenomena have turned this homestead into a destination for those fascinated by the paranormal and horror. With its long and turbulent history, Monte Cristo Homestead is not merely a residence, but also a testament to the unforgettable tragedies of the Crawley family's history. Although it is now a popular tourist attraction, stories of wandering spirits still send chills down the spines of many visitors. Monte Cristo Homestead was built by a wealthy man named George Thomas Crawley in the late 19th century. He purchased the land and began constructing this home as a symbol of prosperity and success. With intricate designs and classic Victorian architecture, Monte Cristo quickly became a luxurious and magnificent residence that attracted the attention of the elite of the time. However, despite being built as a place of peace and affluence, the Crawley family's life was fraught with sorrow and tragedy. Many members of this family died under mysterious circumstances, and the house quickly became filled with tales of the supernatural. Over the decades, events occurred that led many to believe the house is haunted by spirits that cannot find rest. One of the most famous stories is about the first caretaker of the house, who died suddenly one cold night. Since then, strange phenomena began to appear in the homestead. The spirit of the caretaker, the spirit of this caretaker, a mysterious figure in the Crawley family, is said to have been unable to leave the house after his sudden and unexplained death. According to tales, he was found dead in an upstairs room of the house with unusual marks on his body, as if he had been attacked. However, there was no evidence to suggest it was a murder. This led many to suspect that something supernatural had occurred. One of the first people to experience strange phenomena related to the caretaker was a visitor in the 1990s. Upon entering the caretaker's room, the visitor felt a sudden rush of cold air. Suddenly, a faint shadow appeared in the corner of the room and drifted past the window. This ghostly figure lacked a clear shape, but its presence could be felt, as if someone was standing there, observing. Moreover, the clock in the room abruptly stopped and emitted eerie ticking sounds, making the visitor feel as if the caretaker spirit was reminding him of its presence. Another visitor recounted that during a visit, they felt an invisible hand touch their back while standing near the staircase. When they turned around, no one was there. Other phenomena, such as footsteps, doors opening and closing on their own, and faint laughter have caused many to flee the house in fear. The story of the caretaker seems to have no end, and his spirit still lingers in the abandoned rooms. The tragedy of the Crawley family, besides the caretaker's spirit. The Crawley family also experienced unforgettable tragedies that led to strange occurrences over the years. One of the most heart-wrenching stories is the death of George Crawley's first wife, Sarah Crawley. She died in a tragic accident at the house, and many believe her spirit returns to seek revenge. One chilling story was shared by a family visiting Monte Cristo Homestead in the 1990s. While exploring the garden area, they felt an unusual chill in the air. As they approached the gate, they heard their names being called, although no one was there. One family member decided to enter a room believed to be where Sarah often sat. As he stood near the window, a strange light from outside shone in, and he felt someone standing right behind him. Turning around, he found no one. Another story involves the tragic death of a child in the Crawley family. This child died from an unidentified illness, and the Crawley family was unable to save them. Since then, Many have reported hearing a child's cries late at night in the family's bedroom. While no one could see anyone, the sounds echoed through the silent house. The ghost of George Crawley, the founder and owner of Monte Cristo Homestead, is also believed to haunt the house after his death. Although he built the house, many stories suggest that he cannot find peace in the very home he created. One famous account from 2005 involved a group of visitors who saw the faint figure of a man in a suit standing quietly by the window of the living room. This ghostly figure is thought to be George Crawley, and according to some, he returned to the house to guard the property he worked so hard to build. Another strange phenomenon occurred when a group entered George Crawley's bedroom. They felt the air grow suffocating, and suddenly, a chair began to rock vigorously, even though no one was sitting on it. Strange noises, ghostly apparitions, and sudden temperature changes in the rooms add to the house's mystery. Today, Monte Cristo Homestead remains one of the most enigmatic and haunted houses in Australia, where restless spirits still roam in the shadows. Although it is open to visitors and a popular destination for those drawn to the paranormal, the homestead still carries traces of past tragedies. Tales of the caretaker, the Crawley family, and recurring apparitions create a space that is both mysterious and spine-chilling. Monte Cristo Homestead is a place where history cannot be forgotten, and spirits that cannot move on still linger. With haunting and mysterious stories, it remains one of the most famous haunted houses, not only in Australia, but worldwide. Stories of haunted places are not just strange phenomena, but also reminders of the existence of things we cannot explain. Spirits, whether of the departed or wandering souls, leave imprints on the places they once inhabited. These locations, though outwardly ordinary, hold profound and meaningful tales, opening a world beyond our understanding. So, would you dare to step into one of the haunted places we've explored today? Or will you continue to listen to stories from others, letting these mysteries live on in your imagination? Thank you for following this story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more fascinating and eerie tales. And remember, sometimes the truth is scarier than anything we can imagine. See you in the next story.